Peace and love. I'm back with another one. This one's going to be on sports athletes, the first so-called black in those sports. And so if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you're a returning viewer, as I always say, I appreciate you for checking the content out, helping me keep this platform going. I'm not going to hold y'all too long, but we're going to jump straight into it. Peace and love.
On behalf of Akuno Senko for Bay, you know what I'm saying? Jay, where you at? We're trying to help our people elevate. Hope. H-O-P-E. We're giving them hope. We doing what we gotta do, you know. Every day, one step at a time, man. We're gonna make it happen. Helping our people elevate. Yeah. Sometimes I practice focus, thought, and meditate. I'm trying to come with other ways to help our people elevate and seeking knowledge, make me levitate. The lifted mental state is what results from how we orchestrate. This for the family's sake. Let's self-reflect and self-evaluate. And every day, make sure the steps you take, you calculate. Receive a master's fate. I know I can't exist without the hate, but that's okay. I balance that with higher self today. Success is on this way, and after that, my flesh can pass away.
Sean McVee, generally regarded as one of the best heavyweights of his era, McVee never got to fight for the world title. He was born in Oxnard, California on May 17, 1885. He stood a shade over 5'10" and weighed 200 pounds. In his prime, McVee was a hard puncher and posed fine defensive skills. He turned pro in 1902, and a year later he matched against future heavyweight champion Jack Johnson. Although Jackson won the fight, it went the 20-round limit. Since few mixed-race bouts were made during the era of McVee fought in, most of his opponents were black. He fought fellow Hall of Famer Joe Jeanette and Harry Wills 5 times apiece and battled Sam Langford 15 times. McVee's most memorable bout took place April 17, 1909 against Jeanette in Paris. He knocked down Jeanette 27 times and was sent to the deck 11 times himself before he was forced to quit in round 50 because his eye had been swollen to the point he could no longer see. Although McVee seldom fought white fighters and never fought for the title, his exceptional ability, more than his skin color, was the reason. Historians have overlooked the fact that McVee's prime took place during the reign of Jack Johnson between 1908 and 1915. During his reign, Johnson put his title on the line 11 times, but only once during Jim Johnson in 1914 was his challenger black. McVee did square off with Johnson in a 6-round exhibition in Havana 2 days before Johnson lost his title to Jess Willard. Johnson, who was 6 years older than McVee, owned 3 hard-fought victories over the Californians: 20 wins, 20 wins, 20 knockouts. However, all 3 bouts took place before McVee's 19th birthday. During his 82nd bout career, which lasted 1902 to 1920, McVee fought all over the world, including England, Australia, Cuba, Chile, and Argentina, and amassed a record of 63 wins, 12 losses, and 7 draws, 13 no decisions, 2 no contests, with 48 knockouts. He died on December 23, 1921, in New York City. Jesse Owens, the unstoppable athlete who triumphed over adversity and defied the odds. Jesse Owens was a record-setting track and field athlete who transcended sports and triumphed over discrimination. As depicted in the movie Race, Owens captivated the world's attention through his exceptional performances at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. And that only touches on Jesse Owens' accomplishments and contributions to the sport and to the world. The 1936 Berlin Olympics took place during Hitler's Nazi regime. Owens provided a demonstrative rebuke of Hitler's ideology by winning no less than 4 gold medals at the Olympic Games. In the process, Owens shattered racial stereotypes in a hostile environment and showcased the capability of black athletes on a global stage. Owens also set world records in various track and field events during his career. Owens established 3 world records and tied another in the span of 45 minutes at the Big Ten Championship in 1935. Jesse Owens' achievements far exceeded mere athletic accomplishments, world record, or Olympic gold medals. He symbolized what was possible, he broke down barriers, and he contributed to civil rights issues and the right for equality throughout the world. While he died on March 31st, 1980, Jesse Owens' courage, accomplishments, and legacy live on forever. Jack Johnson. At age 49, retired African-American prizefighter Jack Johnson reflected on his tremendous career. My life, almost from the very start, has been filled with tragedy and romance, failure and success, poverty and wealth, misery and happiness, he recalled. Indeed, Johnson not only challenged racial segregation within the United States, but he also lived a lifestyle that whites deemed unsuitable for an African-American, which included displaying his wealth and relationships with white women. Born in Galveston, Texas in 1878 to former enslaved parents, Johnson initially worked as a dock worker during his teenage years before embarking on a new path at the age of 16. Growing up in Galveston's racially diverse 12th Ward and being a part of a black and white gang shielded him from experiencing significant amounts of racism, as he later admitted. It was in the late 1800s that a shop owner in Dallas introduced Johnson to the world of boxing, recognizing his natural physical prowess. Standing over 6 foot tall and weighing around 220 pounds, with exceptional reflex akin to a cat, Johnson's physical attributes were ideal for the sport. Starting on the local boxing scene, he eventually made his way to Chicago, where he joined forces with a local promoter. Victories and defeat marked his journey, but one loss turned out to be promising. In 1901, Johnson was back in Galveston. As Texas had banned prize fighters, authorities arrested Johnson and boxer Joe Choitsky. During their 23-day incarceration, Choitsky taught defensive techniques to Johnson, crafting his skill that would lead him to be considered one of the greatest defensive fighters of all time. He swiftly rose to prominence in the world of boxing, capturing the world-colored heavyweight title in 1903. However, his white opponents persistently dismissed him. Nevertheless, a significant turning point came on December 26, 1908, when Jack Johnson confronted and defeated reigning champion Tommy Burns in Sydney, Australia, becoming the first black man to hold the heavyweight championship of the world. In response to public pressure, retired boxer Jim Jeffries accepted the challenge to fight Johnson, resulting in the high anticipated fight of the century in 1910, a match imbued with racial tension. Boxing fans viewed the sport through the lens of nationality and race. A white boxer defeating a black opponent reinforced ideas about white supremacy. But if the black man won, it would contradict ideas about white superiority. For Johnson to have the championship crown amidst imperialism, Jim Crow, and global white supremacists, boxing fans deemed it unacceptable. Novelist Jack London, finding it inconceivable that Johnson could hold the title, dubbed for Jeffries as the Great White Hope. Before Johnson's duel with Jeffries, reports surfaced suggesting that armed individuals in the crowd were prepared to take out Johnson should he emerge victorious. In the 15th round, cinematographers captured the most intense moment of the match. One of Johnson's left hooks left Jeffries slumped across the bottom rope. In the red, Jeffries' group jumped into the ring, ended the match. Although the cameras filmed the fights from the distance, the color difference between the two boxers were apparent, and it displayed black male dominance over the white defeat. About Satchel Paige. The numbers do not do justice to his legend. The stories, however, keep alive the memory of a man who became bigger than the game. Apocryphal stories surround Paige, who was born July 7, 1906 in Mobile, Alabama. He began his professional career in the Negro Leagues in the 1920s after being discharged from reform school in Alabama. The lanky 6'3" right-handed quickly became the biggest drawing card in Negro baseball, able to overcome batters with a buggy-whipped fastball. Paige, a showman at heart, bounced from team to team in search for the best paycheck, often pitching hundreds of games a year between regular Negro League assignments and brainstorming opportunities. During the 1930s, Page's stint with the Negro National League powerhouse Pittsburgh Crawfords were interrupted by the season's team in North Dakota and the Dominican Republic. In the late 1930s, Page developed arm problems for the first time. Kansas City Monarchs owner J.L. Wilkinson signed Page to his B team, giving Page time to heal. Within a year, Page's shoulder recovered and his fastball returned. As he aged, the control he once used to dazzle fans now became his primary weapon as a pitcher. "He could throw the ball right at your knees all day," said Cool Papa Bill. At age 42, Page made his American League debut when Bill Veeck signed him to a contract with the Indians on July 7, 1948. 2 days later, Page made his debut for a Cleveland club involved in one of the tightest pennant races in American League history. That summer and fall, Page went 6-1 with 3 complete games and a save and a 2.48 earned run average. Cleveland won the AL pennant in a 1-game playoff against Boston, then captured the World Series titles in 6 games against the Braves. Page became the first African-American pitcher to pitch in the World Series when he worked 2/3 of an inning in Game 5. Page pitched for the Indians again in 1949, then spent 3 seasons with St. Louis Browns from 1951 to 53, earning 2 All-Star Game selections. He then returned to life in the minors in barnstorming, resurfacing in the majors at the age of 59 in a 1-game stint with the Athletics on September 25, 1965. He pitched 3 shutout innings. Page was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1971 as the first electee of the Committee of the Negro Baseball League. He passed away on June 8, 1982. "Age is a question of mind and matter," Page said. "If you don't mind, it doesn't matter." Althea Gibson, a sharecropper's daughter, entered the world of sports where segregation severely limited opportunities for African Americans. She eventually became the first Black athlete to cross the color line of international tennis and golf. Althea Gibson was born on August 25, 1927, to Daniel and Annie Bell Gibson, sharecroppers on a cotton farm near Silver, South Carolina. In 1930, the family moved to Harlem, where Gibson's younger siblings were born. While growing up in Harlem, Gibson played paddle tennis on a section of 143rd Street between Lenox and 7th Avenue that was barricaded during the day so neighborhood children could participate in organized sports under the supervision of the Police Athletic League. Gibson became proficient in paddle tennis, and by 1939, at the age of 12, she won the New York City, New York Women's Paddle Tennis Championship. The following year, a group of Gibson's neighbors took up a collection to finance her junior membership at the Cosmopolitan Tennis Club in Harlem. In 1941, Gibson entered and won her first tournament, the American Tennis Association New York State Championship. She later won the ATA National Championship in the girls division in 1949 and 1945. After losing the women's championship finals in 1946, she won the first of 10 straight titles beginning in 1947. Gibson's success drew the attention of Dr. Walter Johnson, a physician from Lynchburg, Virginia, who was active in the national black tennis community. He mentored her and helped her gain important competitions with the United States Tennis Association. In 1949, she became the first black woman and the second black athlete after Reginald Ware to play in the USTA National Indoor Championship. Later that year, she earned a full athletic scholarship at Florida A&M University. In 1950, Gibson became the first black player to compete in the United States National Championships, now the U.S. Open, at Forest Hill, New York. Although she lost narrowly to Lois Burrow, the reigning Wimbledon champion, the following year she won her first international title, the Caribbean Championship in Jamaica in 1951. After graduating from Florida A&M, Gibson took a job teaching physical education at Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri, but she continued her tennis competitions. In 1955, the U.S. State Department took her on a goodwill tour of Asia. When the tour was over, she remained aboard, winning 16 of 18 tournaments in Europe and Asia. In 1956, Gibson became the first African woman to win the French Open. Later, she won the Wimbledon double title with Britain Angela Buxton, the Italian National Championship in Rome, and the Asian Championship in Ceylon. In July of 1957, she won Wimbledon, considered at the time the champion of tennis, and received the trophy personally from the Queen Elizabeth. She won the double championship as well, and when she returned to New York City, she became only the second athlete after Jesse Owens to receive a ticket tape parade. In late 1958, after having won 56 national, international single, and double titles, including 11 Grand Slam championships, Gibson retired from amateur tennis at the age of 31. Fritz Poland, an All-American halfback from Brown University, was a pro football pioneer in more ways than one. The 5'9", 165-pound back who led Brown to the Rose Bowl in 1915 turned pro in 1919 when he joined the Akron, Ohio Pros following Army service during the World War I. In 1920, the Pros joined the newly founded American Professional Football Association after renaming the National Football League. That season, with Poland leading the charge, the Pros went undefeated 8-0 to win the league's first crown. As a member of the new league, Poland immediately earned a place in pro football history as one of just 2 African Americans in the new league. In 1921, he earned another distinction, becoming the first African-American head coach in NFL history when the pros named him co-coach of the team. Contemporary accounts indicate that Poland, an exciting and elusive runner, was the most feared running back in the fielding league. During his pro football career, the 2-time All-American played and sometimes coached for 4 different NFL teams: the Indians, the Milwaukee Badgers, the Hemet Pros, and the Providence Steamrollers. Fritz also spent time in 1923 and 1924 playing for the Gilberton Catamounts, a strong independent pro team in Pennsylvania Coal League. In 1928, Poland organized and coached the Chicago Blackhawks, an all-African-American professional team based in the Windy City. Poland's Blackhawks played against the white team around Chicago, but enjoyed their great success by scheduling exhibition games against West Coast teams during the winter months. From 1929 until 1932, when the Depression caused the team to fold, the Blackhawks had become one of the most popular teams of the West Coast. Wilma Rudolph. Despite being told as a child she would never walk again, Wilma Rudolph resentfully pursued her dreams, becoming an international track and field star. At the height of her career, the fastest woman in the world, she used her platform to shed light on social issues. Wilma Glodine Rudolph was born on June 23, 1940 in St. Bethlehem, Tennessee. As one of the 22 children, she was constantly surrounded by support and care, which she needed to give her poor health. Rudolph survived bouts of polio and scarlet fever. Her illness forced her to wear a brace on her leg. Rudolph's diagnosis was very bleak. My doctor told me I would never walk again. My mother told me I would. I believed my mother. Together, Rudolph's parents and siblings took turns taking care of her. They would often remove her leg brace and massage her injured leg. At the age of 6, Rudolph began to hop on one leg. By 8, she could move around with the leg brace. At the age of 11, Rudolph's mother discovered her playing basketball outside. She quickly turned to sports, becoming a natural athlete. She was nominated as All-American in basketball during high school. However, after a chance of meeting with a college coach, she turned to track and field. While still in high school, Rudolph competed on a collegiate level. She competed in the 1956 Olympic Games and won bronze medal. 4 years later, Rudolph headed to the 1960 Summer Olympics determined to get her gold. Her performance in Rome cemented her as one of the greatest athletes of the 20th century. She won 3 gold medals and broke at least 3 world records. Rudolph became the first African-American woman to win 3 gold medals in track and field at the same Olympic game. Her performance also earned her the title of the fastest woman in the world. Returning home an Olympic champion, Rudolph refused to attend her homecoming parade if it was not integrated. She won the Associated Press Female Athlete of the Year award in 1961. The following year, Rudolph retired from track and field. She went on to finish her degree at Tennessee State University and began working in education. She continued her involvement in sports, working at several community centers throughout the United States. She was inducted into the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame and started an organization to help amateur track and field stars. In 1990, Rudolph became the first woman to receive the National Collegiate Athletic Association Silver Anniversary Award. The indoor track and dormitory at Tennessee State University are named in honor of Rudolph. In 1977, her life was the subject of a primetime television movie. Rudolph died of brain tumor on November 12, 1994. John Baxter Taylor Jr. John Baxter Taylor Jr. was born on November 3, 1882, in Washington, D.C., the son of Sarah Thomas and John Baxter Taylor. After his family moved to Philadelphia, Taylor attended Central High School, where he was the captain of the track team. After high school, while at Brown Preparatory School, young Taylor was a member of a team celebrated for not losing a race and for capturing the 1-mile intercollegiate relay championship of the Penn Relay Games. Taylor's association with Penn began when he entered at Wharton School in September of 1903. He withdrew from Wharton at the end of the second year, and shortly thereafter, in October 1905, he enrolled in the School of Veterinary Medicine, graduating from this 3-year program in 1908. During his student years at Penn, Taylor contributed significantly to Penn athletic standings. As a member of Penn's 1903, 1904, 1905, 1907, and 1908 track teams, Taylor, along with Nathaniel John Cartmel and Guy Hastings, made Penn once again the champions on the track and field. Taylor's stride measured 6 feet 8 inches, the longest of any runner yet known at that time. He was indisputably the best quarter miler in the college world, establishing the world's interscholastic record of 49.1 seconds for 440 yards in 1903, and setting a new record for 48.6 seconds for the event 4 years later. In 1907, he was also indoor champion for 600 yards. Taylor was also gaining international fame and Olympic gold. In the summer of 1904, he visited England and France, winning the majority of his races. When the Olympics were held in England in July of 1908, shortly after his graduation from Penn, Taylor had 2 chances for the gold. His first opportunity came when he participated in a 400-meter race, doing well even though he was ill at the time. Unfortunately, when the race was called because of a disputed foul, bitter controversy ensued between the Americans and British, and the Americans boycotted rerunning into the race. Despite this disappointment, Taylor did bring home the gold as a member of America's 1,600-meter 1-mile relay team. He and his team members, fellow Penn grads Nathaniel John Cartmel, W.O.8, Philadelphian Melvin Shepard, and William F. Hamilton set a world record in this race. 2 African Americans had earned medals in the 1904 Olympic Games in St. Louis: Joe Stradler from Cleveland, who had won a silver medal in the standing high jump, and George Poles from University of Wisconsin, who had 2 bronze medals for the 200-meter and the 400 hurdles. But Taylor, in 1908, became the first African American to win Olympic gold. Unfortunately, John Baxter Taylor had only a few months in which to enjoy his successes as a veterinary student and an Olympian. He died of pneumonia on December 2, 1908. Thousands of his Penn teammates, alumni, and students gathered at the funeral of the Taylor family home at 323 Woodland Avenue in West Philadelphia. Well-known trainer Mike Murphy eulogized Taylor as the nicest man he had ever had to train. He never gave any bother, worked hard, and was always on time. 6 important things you should know about Willie O'Ree, the first Black hockey player. It's been 42 years since he broke the color barrier in hockey. Willie O'Ree is a Canadian hockey player who eventually made history as the first Black hockey player in the National Hockey League. Encyclopedia Britannica reports, making significant strides to both American and Canadian sports, O'Ree has received his fair share of accolades over the years and is considered the Jackie Robinson of hockey. In honor of the anniversary of his historical accomplishments, here are 6 important things you should know about Willie O'Ree, the first Black hockey player. He began playing hockey when he was 3 years old. Born William O'Ree on October 15, 1935, the future famed hockey player grew up in Fredericton, New Brunswick, a province in Canada. He was the youngest of 13 children, his grandparents having escaped slavery in the U.S. through the Underground Railroad and settling in Canada. The son of Rosebud and Harry, a civil engineer who worked in road maintenance, O'Ree found his knack for hockey at an early age. He began playing at just 3 years old, getting into organized hockey by the time he was 5, and even skating to school when the weather allowed. O'Ree was blind in one eye. He continued playing in amateur league as a team with the New Brunswick Amateur Hockey Association, progressing quickly through the ranks before moving to Quebec at the age of 19 to play with the Quebec Junior Hockey League. During the 1954 and 1956 season, O'Ree was playing a game with the Kitchener Canucks of the Ontario Hockey Association when a puck broke his nose and cheekbone, causing him to lose 95% of the vision in his right eye. While a doctor advised him to stop playing hockey, O'Ree ignored him, returning to the game within 2 months and never telling anyone about his blindness, since NHL bylaws would have ruled him ineligible to play. He became the first black hockey player in the NHL. After playing 1 year in Ontario, O'Ree returned to Quebec, where he suited up for the Quebec Acres during the 1956-1957 season, racking up 22 goals and 12 assists for a total of 34 points. The Aces were known for promoting integration, and during the 1957-1958 season, the organization formed a partnership with the NHL's Boston Bruins, meaning the Aces players could be called up to play for the Bruins at any day and time. On January 18, 1958, O'Ree got the call and made history as the first black hockey player to play in a game of the National Hockey Leagues, the Bruins beating the Montreal Canadiens 3-0 in that game. O'Ree played nearly 30 years of professional hockey. While O'Ree's historical debut didn't create any buzz, possibly because many in Montreal were already familiar with O'Ree as a player, he continued to make waves as a pioneer of the game. On January 1st, 1961, O'Ree became the first black player to score a goal in the NHL, and after his game in Boston, he played 14 more years of professional hockey across Canadian and American leagues. He also became the NHL's first diversity ambassador. O'Ree retired in 1979, eventually becoming NHL's Director of Youth Development and first diversity ambassador in 1998. While O'Ree experienced racism and discrimination, he was adamant that the majority of it occurred during his first time in the United States, not in Canada. As an ambassador, he championed diversity and inclusion, launching 39 hockey programs and teaching more than 120,000 children to play the game. Kim Davis, NHL Senior Executive VP of Social Impact, Growth Initiatives, and Legislative Affairs, who partnered with O'Ree on numerous of DEI initiatives for younger generations in a century-old organization, previously spoke about the importance of his contribution. Willie O'Ree has been committed to hockey for decades, and his impressive list of accolades and achievements is a reflection of his dedication to the inspiring young people across America, said Davis. Willie O'Ree received a Congressional Gold Medal for his contributions. In 2003, O'Ree received the Lester Patrick Trophy for outstanding services to the game of hockey in the U.S. In 2010, he received the Order of Canada for his work in the youth development and promoting hockey across North America. In 1984, he was inducted into the New Brunswick Sports Hall of Fame, earning the Order of the New Brunswick in 2005 and in 2018. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. In 2019, a documentary was released about O'Ree's life, and in 2021, the Bruins honored him by retiring his jersey, making him only the 12th person in the history of the organization to receive the honor. That same year, a Senate bill was introduced to honor O'Ree with a Congressional Gold Medal. Thank you for your sacrifice and immense contributions, Mr. O'Ree. Because of you, we can. Isaac Byrne Murphys. Isaac Byrne Murphys was born on April 16, 1861, as Isaac Burns near Frankfort, Kentucky, on a farm to parents James Burns and a mother whose name is unknown. Murphy was the first American jockey elected to the Racing Hall of Fame in Saratoga Springs, New York, and only one of two black jockeys to have received this honor. Burns' father, a free black man, was a bricklayer, and his mother was a laundrywoman. During the Civil War, his father joined the Union Army and died a Confederate prisoner in the war camp. After his father's death, Burns and his mother moved to live with her father, Green Murphy, a bell ringer and auction crier in Lexington, Kentucky. Isaac Burns changed his last name to Murphy once he started racing horses as a tribute to his grandfather. After the move to Lexington, Kentucky, Burns' mother worked at the Richard and Owens Racing Stable. Isaac Murphy started accompanying his mother to work, and he was noticed by a black trainer named Eli Jordan because of his small size. The trainer prepared Burns for his first race at age 14. His first winning race was on September 15, 1875, at the Lexington Crab Orchard. He rode upright and urged his mount on with words and a spur rather than a whip. By the end of 1876, Burns, now racing under the name Murphy, had won 11 races at the Lexington, Kentucky Association track. In 1877, he won 19 races and rode his first Kentucky Derby and received 4th place. His 1879 win at the Travers Stake at Saratoga Springs brought him national attention for the first time. Isaac Murphy's first Kentucky Derby win came May 27, 1884, at Church Mill Downs. 2 more victories would follow in 1890 and 1891. In 1884, Murphy also won the American Derby in Chicago, Illinois, at the time the most prestige race in the nation. He would repeat this feat in 1885, 1886, and 1888. Throughout his career, Murphy rode 628 winners in his 1,412 mounts, including the 3 Kentucky Derby winners previously mentioned, 4 American Derby winners, and 5 Latonia Derby winners. Murphy had the best winning average in history to date, with better than 34%. During the height of his career, Murphy received an average yearly salary of $10,000 to $20,000, excluding bonuses, making him the highest paid jockey in the United States. He lived in a mansion in Lexington. It is believed that Murphy was the first African American to own a racehorse. He owned several racehorses and invested in real estate as well. On June 25, 1890, Murphy raced in the most memorable contest of his life. Matched against a white counterpart, jockey Ed Snapper Garrison, the race would settle the debate of which rider was the better jockey. In a contest that would define racial overturn, Murphy was victorious. Murphy's popularity soon fell after this race. In August of 1890, just 2 months after Murphy's victory, he was suspended for racing while intoxicated after falling off of his horse in a race. In the following years, he also ran and won fewer races as he battled both alcohol abuse and weight gain. In 1895, Murphy was suspended again for the second time because of intoxication. That same year, he failed to win a single race and was forced to retirement. Murphy died 3 months later from pneumonia. At the height of his career, Isaac Burns Murphy was the best jockey at his time and still holds the best winning percentage of jockeys. The Isaac Murphy Stakes was initiated in 1997 at Chicago Arlington's International Race Course.